So yeah, last minute, very last minute Master 1. I was pretty busy this month, could not do as much of the rating duels as I wanted to, basically at all. And I tried to play in the XC's event because you know, my bad for trying to actually play in an event. Whoopsie, that was my bad. And I was like, I got pretty sick during this month, so it's just a lot of stuff. This is not the best month for playing Yu-Gi-Oh for me. But because I had limited time, I had to use a deck that I thought was actually still good this meta, and that was probably one of the main decks that I would consider for like series playing Master Duel format right now. And of course, we have a Rescue Ace. So it honestly felt like that the hype for this deck kind of just completely died down after the ban list and the new set release. Like everyone's playing U-Bells and Snake Eyes Fire King is still the best deck. And then of course, Pearly was a deck that was playable in the Exceeds event, so obviously that got a lot of attention this month. But among the other top decks from the last round, Rescue Ace, it's just the play rate of this deck definitely noticeably decreased this month compared to last month. And to be fair, it did probably get the biggest ban list hit out of all the top tier decks, since it went from 3 Bonfire to 2 and 3 Airlifter to 2, so it was like basically 2 separate consistency hits, so you lost like 2 starters, 2 of your better starters, especially Bonfire. Like having only 2 Bonfire now is a kind of a big deal, since it makes Poplar has always been like not a card you want to draw. Drawing Poplar is like drawing a Hydrant, except even worse. Since at least Hydrant, it counts as a Rescue Ace name, and you can do stuff with like Emergency. Whereas Poplar, if Poplar gets negated, then you really can't do anything with it. And it's not like Hydrant is even like an opener you really want. That's why Hydrant is only at 2, because it's only good if you open it with other Rescue Ace monsters. You're much more prefer to get Hydrant out of your deck with original Sinless Woes than anything. So the fact that now Poplar is kind of turns into it's kind of a semi-Garnet already if you hard root, but now that Bonfire is at 2, you just have a higher chance of drawing Poplar without the Bonfire, so it's that's the reason why Bonfire is the best starter, and why it's kind of a bigger deal that Bonfire went to 2. And honestly, Bonfire going to 2 was probably hurt Rescue Ace more than any other actual Snake Eyes decks. So as sad as that sounds, but yeah. But as you can tell, even despite losing 2 stars, this deck is still at 46 cards. Why? Because the engine requirements for this deck is just so large. On top of all the main deck monsters and the fact that you're running the Diabell Star and the smaller Snake Eyes engine, you also have to run all of the spell traps, and all of these spell traps you don't really want to draw these. You want to search these, but you want to send them off extinguished. So running a bigger card count does also reduce the chance of you drawing these bricks, but also the fact that you have to run all of these additional cards for your engine to be as powerful as it can be, and then the fact that you also have to run non-engine this format. Since Rescue Ace is actually pretty decent at playing into boards, since you have cards that trade with your opponent's interaction pretty well, like Emergency can like trade with removal, trade with targeted negation, trade with hand traps like Imperm, and then you have Preventer, which also it deals with threats on board, and it also provides you extra link material after you link it off. You have obviously your fire deck, so you have access to Charmers and to Promethean Princess, which is like one of the most broken monsters in the game. You have the Diabell Star engine, which Diabell Star is just free extenders. Again, the small Snake Eyes package is Poplar. You never normal summon. You ideally don't normal summon this, so adding Bonfire is just another free extender. So you can actually play into boards decently well. You still can't break full boards with this, like a full U-Bell board or a full Snake Eyes Fire King board. You're probably not breaking still, so you need to open at least some form of hand traps. You're not as reliant on drawing 2 as much as like some other decks that like really struggle to play into boards like Centur-Ion, but you do still need to draw at least 1 hand trap, if not like 1.5 on average, to be able to hit a specific choke point that the board is reduced enough to where you can play into it with your Rescue Ace engine. you can get this deck down closer to 40 cards if you really want to, because there's some cards like Pot of Prosperity and 1-for-1 that a lot of people don't run in their Rescue Ace builds, even though I think these are honestly like some of the best cards, especially Pot of Prosperity. Prosperity is so broken. You never need to go into more than half your extra deck in any given duel. And Prosperity, it's sort of, first of all, it's like a pseudo third copy of Bonfire sometimes, because you can you either hit Poplar, you either hit Bonfire with it, or you can hit a Poplar, which then it's basically like you added Poplar off Bonfire, so you just added off Prosperity instead. It's the same thing, you can still special summon that you added. Like, it's really nice. It's just sometimes going second, you can't kill your opponent, so you have to like actually, you can't just do land this OTK if you use this going second, so that's kind of a downside, but the cost of the extra deck is really not a downside at all. And 1-for-1, again, because you lost a copy of Bonfire, so this is like a more costly method of Bonfire, or this is like the fourth Witch, except it's slightly worse because you have to discard a monster instead of hit, like send a spell trap or something from your field if that got negated with Diabellstar. But it's still nice, but you don't have to run these, and you can cut down on the Imperm as well. Imperm is probably oddly enough, the non-engine that's you're most likely cutting from Rescue Ace, because your turn 1 play, you're setting 4 back row. Your back row slots are filled already. So you don't want to have too many non-engine that are still on trap cards too, because if you open like Imperm plus Called By, then you can only set 1 of them, because the rest of your 4 back row are taken up. And obviously, Called By is probably more important in a Max E-ish format than Imperm, although that is debatable now. And like, I guess you take out Cross-Out, so this deck can actually play pretty decently into most hand traps, especially Max E. That's one of the perks. So if you don't want to worry about too much about Max E, then you can cut the Cross-Out. But I think Called By the Grave is still a very good piece of non-engine versus the 2 best decks in the format, which is like Fire King, Snake Eyes, and I guess Yubel, if you want to consider it the second best decks. And yeah, obviously Called By is great against both of those. So yeah, those are cards you can cut to get to 40, or get closer to 40. I don't think you'll ever get to truly 40, because 6 cards to cut from this is quite a lot, and all of these cards are so broken. Especially Gamma is becoming like the hand trap with the format, annoyingly enough. So it's a requirement you have to play around Gamma now in the Master Duel meta. The point is that this deck's still good. I think this is still easily a top 5 deck. I would argue that this is in contention for like at least like a top 3 deck. But very clearly, I think the best deck in the format is still Fire King, Snake Eyes, and then you can have like a bunch of other decks underneath it that you can debate between like positions for like 2 through 4. You have like Yubel, obviously. You have this Rescue Ace. You have like Pearly as well, which Pearly may not be the second best deck, but I think Pearly is still a very solid option, at least for now. And there's always a Pure, although I think Pure Snake Eyes is probably not in contention for the second best deck. That's lost too many of its real cards and like too many of its actual starters, so it's hard to like fill out a pure Snake Eyes build. But it's still alright. But I think like Rescue Ace is better than that. So like Rescue Ace, you could very easily argue that Rescue Ace is still the 3rd best deck in the format, which is nothing to sneeze at or anything. The ratios are these are very standard Rescue Ace ratios, like 2-2, because you can only run 2-2. Some people can cut Turbulence to 1. I can see it, because Turbulence is like kind of a brick. You don't really want to open it, although there are some, there are too many times the second Turbulence has come up for me, either in the grind game or to like dodge the first Turbulence. Like if I summon 1 Turbulence and it gets hit by removal, but I have an emergency hand, I can still emergency up the second Turbulence, and then still set 4, so on and so on. Like I explained, the 1-for-1 in Prosperity Rhoda is the Airlifter. Rescue Ace HQ, not mandatory. Again, you can also cut this. Again, in grinding games this has come up, although it hasn't been necessary in a lot of games as well. It's helped save me a few times, but also like a lot of times I've used this, it's felt like extraneous. It felt like Windworks. I already was in control. I didn't really need this to be able to set 8 again. So unless you get like evenly, then you lose all your resources. Then you might need to rely on Rescue Ace HQ more. But those hopefully the games where you lose all your resources aren't the norm with when you're playing this deck. And you'll notice that I'm not running the impulse stuff, so like impulse for mainly a fire engine. It's mainly because Fire King Snake Eyes is still the best deck, and this engine is absolutely horrid playing second into Fire King Snake Eyes, since all you're doing is you're summoning a body that they can just pop for free with Kieran on their first turn anyways, and then you also just gave them a free fire for Hida, so you gave them free extra link material turn 1. It's not like Ash, where Ash you actually stop one of their plays and you actually like hit a choke one or anything. It's just literally you just gave them free fodder, and you didn't really gain that much advantage out of it because the stuff isn't staying on the board against Fire King turn 1 even most of the time anyways. So yeah, that's kind of against that. Against Yubel, it's slightly, I mean, it's better, but also the fact that you get to summon a huge body on board isn't the biggest deal. Like, it doesn't pressure Appaloosa, because obviously with Nightmare Pain you still can't actually use this to pressure the Appaloosa that they make to attack over it, so it's still kind of weird, but it's and also, like, I'm at 46 cards again, so if I were to run this engine, I would be running upwards of 50 cards, and I think all of these cards and having real hand traps is more important than having more access to your engine, so yeah. And about the Yubel matchup, so the Yubel matchup is kind of weird. You have some very nice juicy targets for Contain and Extinguish, right? So like, imagine your opponent normal summons Dark Bending Beast, right? And then you contain it, and then suddenly, like, that is such a big deal, because now obviously it negates the search if they didn't already have Spirit Gates, or if they didn't have the Dark Bending Beast. It also prevents them from normal summoning an additional Fiend monster, so if they were rely on Dark Bending Beast to summon Samsara D Lotus, then Contain shuts that down. Even if they drew the opening of the Spirit Gates as an extend, as a punish for the effect negation, they can't do anything with Dark Bending Beast, because the Dark Bending Beast, you can't link that off in Almiraj and then simply activate Spirit Gates to discard a Fiend and then continue going like that, because you can't just rinse them from linking them off. So the only punish for this is if they have a Grave Skirmer, obviously. So yeah, this lets them dodge. And then you can special summons from your hand as a quick effect, destroy one Yubel or one monster dimension. So this still lets them continue playing, but this is why I recommend you end on Appaloosa on your end board. That way, if you have Appaloosa on your end board and you have you hit a Contain or you hit an Extinguish, then you've effectively shut down most of their forms of extension. By the way, Extinguish, hitting a Yubel, hitting like an OG Yubel with Extinguish is absolutely hilarious, because then they don't get the effect to where they don't get a Summon Terror Incarnate, because Extinguish just prevents them from activating their effect when it gets destroyed. Also, other random funny interactions you can do with cards like Extinguish is, if, say for example, they go Spirit of Yubel at Nightmare Pain, try to pop the Spirit of Yubel, you chain Extinguish to the Nightmare Pain, pop their Spirit of Yubel, and then force them to pop another card that they maybe don't want to pop. Meanwhile, the Spirit of Yubel gets popped, and they don't get to summon the OG Yubel from their deck, since it got extinguished. So, that's funny interactions right there. Although, like, I mean, a try and true method is, if they summon Samsara D Lotus in any way raw, and then you have like Contain or Extinguish, you can just hit that, and then that's a huge speed bump for them. Again, unless they have something like a Grave Skirmer to extend, which is why I recommend making Appaloosa on your end board when you can, so that way the combination of Extinguish and Contain plus Appaloosa basically shuts down most of their forms of extension as well. It's also, again, good against Fire Kings, because you can Extinguish or Contain their like Diabell Stars or their Fire King monsters without the worry of getting Kieran to dodge them, because the Appaloosa just checks to Kieran too. So yeah. Speaking of Appaloosa, here's the extract. It's pretty standard. I think all of these are relatively necessary, although you don't go into all of these, a lot of these, a lot of your games. There is quite a bit of flex spot in the extra deck, in the Rescue's extra deck. So Typhon should probably run this now. Doesn't come up that often again, but it's nice item to have. 2 Link 1s, Nightmare Phoenix. Never cut this card in this deck. It's so nice. Like literally 1 Bonfire lets you go Linkaribo into Nightmare Phoenix, co-link Nightmare Phoenix to pop your opponent's spell and trap before even committing your Turbulence going second. It's really nice. Obviously, Hida and Dark, Broken Charmers, IP Masquerena does not actually come up a lot. You don't really make this in your end board too often. This is more like if you get randomly interrupted and you can't get to your full end board, but you do have enough bodies to go into IP Masquerena, or if you want to like hard call your opponent not having an imperm so that you don't go into SP to help dodge imperm on your Turbulence, although that's risky with all these toggles and stuff. And also it's a payoff for when you gamma your opponent, you just get the free IP Masquerena 2 on your end board. Double SP because you always make 1 turn 1 to protect your Turbulence from imperm. Maybe not as necessary on the ladder, but if you're like playing serious events, or if you're playing rated duels, like rating duels or DC cups or tournaments, you definitely, regardless of whatever toggle you don't feel, you definitely go into this because people are gonna hide the toggles all the time when they see they're playing a Rescue Ace. So yeah, definitely make the SP, just do it anyway. So then of course you need the second one because the first one is just a throwaway to protect your Turbulence turn 1. Unicorn, you still run this since you have room, and why not? You're running the access code with this, so if you don't want to go Promethean Princess into Zealandis into Raging Phoenix, if you need to remove cards like back row, then you go Nightmare Phoenix into access code, and that still works just as well. And obviously Promethean Princess, Zealandis, Raging Phoenix, Appaloosa, access code, all of yeah, I've gone into every one of these in the extra deck. Some obviously more than others, and I would say the biggest flex spots are probably Unicorn, IP, and Access Code Talker. But again, it's 3 slots, so it's not big enough to like be able to fit in like a what's it called, a Cyber's package or something like that. Maybe you can fit in an Auroradon package if you're really afraid of board breakers. Then you can make like a Baron on your end board instead of an Appaloosa. That way you're protected from evilly and stuff like that. So especially if you're playing tournaments with best of 3, like having Baron as an option for game 2 might become relevant. So yeah, anyways, let's get into the duels, which are probably more interesting than this actual deck profile. Okay, you're about to see probably the most undeserving win you'll ever see in Master Duel. So this is the 1-card Airlifter line, except we drew both trap cards. So even if our opponent does hand trap us, you know, we still open both forms of a trap interruption plus 2 hand traps. So not bad, right? 4 interruptions through any hand trap, right? But yeah, you have to add emergency. It's the only way to do the 1-card Airlifter combo. So you get Hydra, and then Hydra will add Turbulence, then you'll special Turbulence by banishing emergency and Airlifter, and then you'll ideally you'll set 4, but I can only set 3 because I only have 3 targets left. But yeah, and then after this, you're gonna use Alert to add Preventer. And here's where I mess up, okay? So what I do is I summon Preventer by banishing Alert, okay? And that's it. Wrong. That's not what you should do in this situation, because I drew my Turbulence targets. That means I have access to all of 5 of the spell and traps again. So that means I have an emergency available for my opponent's turn, which is important. Which means that instead of just ending on this board, I should have linked off the Hydrant into a Linkaribo, banished the Hydrant for Preventer, and then Preventer plus Linkaribo go into any Link 2, and then the Preventer will summon back the Airlifter, and then Airlifter, Turbulence plus Link 2 go into Appaloosa. During my opponent's draw phase, because I have another emergency, you go emergency, summon the other Preventer from deck, it goes to the grave, and then that summons back the Hydrant. And then you have every form of interruption in your engine. You have an Appaloosa, Hydrant, both traps, plus a rescue to be able to summon back the Preventer for the Book of Moon effect. That board is much better than whatever the hell this board I just ended on. The basic ass 1-card Airlifter board. No, they don't. Always end on Appaloosa if you have the chance. I say usually Appaloosa is the more correct choice, because look, I get even lead. Now imagine if I had an Appaloosa here, Okay, I would have a 3 material Appaloosa, and my opponent wouldn't have a battle phase to deal with it, and that would be fine. Instead, I'm gonna use Preventer to get back the Airlifter for you know, follow-up, but I end on 0 in-engine interruptions. That evenly wiped out every single one of my interruptions. And they had the second one too. Just the second one as well. Again, the difference between a 3 material Appaloosa and literally nothing, okay? Yeah, it is the difference between the line I should have done and the line I actually did. Well, our opponent's gonna go Fusion Deployment into Cartasia, and luckily we're under Max E, you know, never punished, at least we resolved Max E, which means that our opponent's unlikely to do very much in main phase 2 without giving us a bunch of cards, so they just passed on Cartasia, and I drew an Ash Blossom and an Emergency. So, here, okay, I'm going to Emergency for Hydrant, and then Hydrant, I will add Airlifter, then normal Airlifter, add Rescue, Ace HQ, okay? Then I'll link off into a Linkuriboh, and then use HQ, and I'm going to put back Alert, Emergency, Preventer, Emergency, okay? And look at this top deck. Alert. The Alert I just put back. Okay, this is the exact card I needed to literally win the game on the spot. I needed to draw either Alert or Preventer, and that would have won me the game directly. Now we can OTK. Literally, I had like 2 cards I could have drawn in my entire deck that would have let me win the game, and never fucking punished. I felt extremely dirty after I saw this top deck off the HQ, because I definitely didn't deserve that. So we had the Preventer back, and now Preventer can banish the Hydrant, and these two will. Preventer, I'll just force up the Cartasia right now. It doesn't really matter. I can max E them. They can't really go into very much that's threatening to me unless they haven't fallen Valdash directly in hand, which they don't. They have a Baldrake, so they're gonna go into Grand Guignol, and then Grand Guignol will dump Albion, and then I'm just gonna go into Dark. And funnily enough, they gave me a Dark target, so I'm gonna summon back to Baldrake. That's gonna trigger Grand Guignol, and this is where we have the Ash to just blanket, and now they have a clear field. And yeah, go these two into Peruvian Princess, bring back Preventer, well, bring back Hydrant, and then Peruvian Princess, bring back Preventer, and 27, 25, 28 is 8k exactly on clear board. So yeah, that's I had almost no resources left. I got double even lead, but I sacked my way to victory. If only that could have happened more often during, you know, the World Championship qualifier, not on like fucking ranked ladder. But I'm not complaining about having good luck. So this is something that can happen occasionally with this deck, given that you have to run a pretty big deck size to get a proper non-engine count. But then because of the limitations, you sometimes draw nothing but non-engine. Case in point, 4 hand traps plus 1 emergency, which literally does nothing by itself. So yeah, our opponent playing Centur-Ion, and they open crossout designator, but you know, 1 crossout is not going to be enough versus 4 hand traps. So fortunately, you know, we do stop them from doing anything significant. The problem is my deck has stopped me from doing anything significant. They're just what I need. It's 2 sets of feet. That exactly what you want to see. Yeah, they're gonna go Trudea, and I don't even fail Trudea, because actually Trudea is a non-tuner and this is a tuner. I've seen Centurion builds run some odd level 8 synchros that I don't want to deal with, so I let that go first. Let them summon the second Primera, and then Ash the Primera. So you know, if they want to make Baguska, that's fine. I do have to add the Baguska, but we'll see if they have any more extension. And they do have Wake Up Centur-Ion, so they're gonna summon out a token and make Auxilla, and yeah, this, you know, this Auxilla ain't resolving either, bro. That's right. It's really the 4th hand trap that gets you. So yeah, we're gonna enter battle phase. I'm gonna lose half my life, and you know, now or never, we're gonna draw some form of a playable card, and I draw a Bond. Literally the best card in my deck, as long as I don't get Ash. Thankfully, they don't have Ash either. Man, it's just entire mess set up to get to this point. But yeah, Poplar get OSS, and then you go Linkuriboh, scale Poplar, send Poplar with OSS, get hydrant effect. Nothing right now. I mean, if they had Ash, you know, this play would have been cooked. But any other hand trap, this actually plays through pretty decently. This will be a hard to emergency. So Airlifter gets alert gets turbulence, and now Linkuriboh has this very useful arrow. So I'm actually going to link these two off into Nightmare Phoenix to pop the back row. One Poplar enables you to get to Linkuriboh plus Nightmare Phoenix co-linked out the back row before you commit to the turbulence as well. If you don't want to go for the SP, which I don't, because I wanted to end the game this turn. So yeah, there goes the Imperm. I'm going to special turbulence, banishing those two, and we get Nibiru. Now I probably should have maxed here, but at the same time, like, I do have a play through this as Nibiru anyways, so we're gonna emergency summon Preventer. Now that I banished my SHS monsters, I can Preventer summon back the Hydrant, and then Linkuri will summon itself back, tripping the Hydrant, going to Dark. And oh, what is that? Is Auxilia a Dark monster? Oh, that is. It is. Perfect. So we get this back, and now we go Peruvian Princess. God, this card is so disgusting. Peruvian Princess, bring back Turbulence, and then Turbulence will set forward anyways through a Nibiru. Like, a lot of people are saying, like, okay, I'm telling you right now, Peruvian Princess, the fact that Peruvian Princess is completely generic is the fucking dumbest thing about this card. A lot of people are like, oh, but why does it matter that it's generic? You know, you're only going to use it in fire decks anyways. Well, 90% of the time, okay, you don't make this with 2 fires. The only time you ever make Peruvian Princess with 2 fires is like when you go heat up. Every other scenario, I'm making Peruvian Princess with like only 1 fire, and oftentimes with 0 fire monsters. Why is that allowed? Okay, so literally generic ass Link 3 that, oh yeah, the Charmers are also a semi-generic Link 2s that lead directly into Peruvian Princess. Man, what a great card design. Yeah, anyways, we get to Turbulence set for Peruvian Princess through a Nibiru, and they're gonna wake up Centur-Ion, summon back, send Phalanx, summon back Auxilia. This Auxilia is not resolving well. First of all, you're gonna play the Maxi minigame, and they have top decked the Ash, so you know, unfortunately for them, the top decking Ash is not really gonna be sufficient, because on the summon of Auxilia, we're gonna contain, chain, rescue, summon back the Hydrant, so now the Auxilia is completely done. They no synchro, no nothing. They can't out a Turbulence. It's all bad for them. You just gotta not die in like the 2 turns that you break with this deck, and then suddenly you just pop off through every hand trap in the game. So this is a game that I want to show just for like a funny interaction. So our opponents on 52 card some sort of Snake Eyes decks gets Ash, you know, opens Bonfire, gets Poplar, gonna Maxi, and they have the out to Ash. So the Bonfire, Ash, and 52 cards. You know, it seems about right. And now they're gonna add OSS, go into Linkuriboh, summon Birch, and I'm like, I don't know where the hell this is going. What kind of? So they're gonna go into Oak, bring back the Ash. I don't know why they did that. Flame Bird, send the Linkuriboh, go into IP Master Arena. Now, OSS the Flame Bird, summon Rescue Ace Hydrant. I'm like, what in the fuck is going on? Okay, this is gonna summon back Oak. Not playing around the Nibiru whatsoever. Add an Impulse. Go into Peruvian Princess. Bring back Flamberge. Flamberge scale IP, and go into Ambler Whale and pat. What the fuck is this? What? What? What was the Hydrant? What the hell is this Hydrant doing here? Just, you know, by the way, if you're wondering what these back row are not Rescue Ace traps. He did not hard draw Rescue Ace traps. This Hydrant is just chilling here. It literally added an Impulse, and that was it. Meanwhile, you have Ambler Whale, Flamberge IP. Well, okay, so here I try to do an ambitious move, right? So I have Prosperity here. I figure I'm probably going to use Prosperity this turn anyway, so I'm probably not going to be able to OTK this turn. So I enter battle phase, try to bluff. Like, a lot of times, you know, if they have Masquerena, people will, before entering battle phase, during evenly match, they'll summon IP, and then they'll link off the IP, and then they'll do all that stuff in main phase 1, and then I can do so accordingly. I don't have to worry about, you know, IP into SP, all that stuff. But they didn't even toggle. Like, I feel like they were toggled off. Like, they literally had no delay into the battle phase. I'm like, what the hell? So anyway, I'm gonna Prod of Prosperity now, banish 6. And they're gonna change Flame Burst to Prod of Prosperity. I don't know what the hell is that timing, but yeah, anyways. I add Poplar because it's free, so I'm gonna you add a Poplar to hand off Prosperity. I love that. Love adding Poplar off Prosperity. It's like basically it's like Bonfire. So now they're gonna chain link off the Hydrant. The Hydrant was just there to make a 4 material Appaloosa. And now they're going to Hydrant, and they're gonna imperm my Poplar. Oh, sorry, they're gonna Flamberge, my bad, not Hydrant. Summon these 2 back, and then I Ash and Oak summon back the Poplar, and you want to count how many summons they've done? So IP was 1, Appaloosa was 2, and then these 3 are 5. So I'm sure you can see where this is headed now. Okay, so Poplar gets that, and then you're gonna add another OSS. So they're on 2 OSS. You know, just that unhinged. I'm gonna go into Linkuriboh. So I'm not gonna set Poplar because I don't. Since I don't have OSS, I don't have any or Diabell, so I don't actually have a way to take advantage of it, so I might as well just keep it engraved. But yeah, if you're wondering, I banished Anima off of the Prosperity, which I keep doing even though I know my opponent's sending Appaloosa is a possibility. And then I should have just kept Anima, that way I could go into Anima and just get another negate off the Appaloosa for free. And then I could trigger the Nibiru right then and there, and then that would have been so much easier. But instead, I don't have a way to bait the Appaloosa yet, so now I'm going to 1-for-1 for Hydrant. They're going to summon Peruvian Princess, pop the Hydrant, which is fine because I have Alert in hand already. So I can just alert back the Preventer, banish Hydrants. And they're going to use Appaloosa, and here they get blown out. We chain the Nibiru to the Appaloosa on my turn. Okay? This is something you gotta keep in mind against Snake Eyes. You can very easily trigger Nibiru during your turn, and then you can use that to cut off the Appaloosa effect, because Appaloosa no longer can change its attack. So this card is, it's like, honestly, it's about as good on your turn as it is on your opponent's turn, sometimes in the Snake Eyes matchup. And yeah, and now everything goes bye-bye, Appaloosa doesn't negate, so Preventer gets summoned, and now I can link these 2 off into Hita, and then summon back the Hydrant. I never used Hydrant's effect yet, so now I'm going to use Hydrant's effect to add Turbulence. They're going to chain Impulse now. That's a very late Impulse, but yeah, they're going to get a Fire Engine, and I'm going to add Airlifter, and they just give up. I don't know why they gave up. I didn't have a battle. They must have forgotten that I didn't have a battle phase, because if I did, they were dead that turn, but because I Prosperity and used my battle phase, they could have had a decent grinding with the Fire Engine and me like normal summoning my Airlifter, triggering their Fire Engine, and then they get more resources out from their deck. They were probably favored in this game still, but I just wanted to show off Nibiru killing off an entire Snake Eyes board on my turn. Nibiru, best board breaker. So this deck is normally very decent into Max C. You usually can end on Turbulence set for only given 1 draw. Unfortunately here, I go for the Poplar line, special summon Poplar, and maybe it was a mistake to go for the Poplar line because this plays really badly into Max C. And I did have an alternative way to play without playing as badly into Max C, simply by special summoning Diabellstar. They didn't shotgun Max C, so I can summon this, get OSS gets Hydrant, and if they Max C there, that's fine, that's 1 less draw. But because I started with Poplar, I get Max Seed, and then it's like, if I want to continue, if I want to get this Turbulence live, I'm going to have to end up giving like, what, 2-3 more draws. Instead, I would have pitched Nibiru for Diabellstar, I went for a Diabellstar line, but because I didn't pitch Diabellstar, I'm like, okay, you know what, I have Imperm Nibiru, surely this will be enough to keep me alive, surely. And our opponent's playing Super Heavy Samurai, first of all, and I'm like, you know, this is kind of bad, honestly, but I do have Imperm Nibiru that that has been known to be able to stop off Super Heavy Samurai turns. So I'm just gonna let them cook and wait for them to summon Baron out, and I'm gonna veil Infirm Nib before they get their second Omni Negate out. Oh yeah, they're gonna Excel, big Baron. Baron's gonna pop the Infirm. I'm gonna chain Infirm on the Baron so they get rid of that interruption immediately, and then they're gonna Pendulum Summon these Centurion monsters. So the Centur-Ion, this very common deck this pack. So they're gonna summon Tria, and I'm gonna chain the Nibiru right now before the Tria goes into the back when they get more value out of it, and then the Poplar comes back, and then they have the Emblem of Oath anyways to summon the Primera, and then the Primera will add them the Wake Up Centur-Ion. The Wake Up Centur-Ion. And so they go into Auxilla, and then Auxilla adds the Phalanx, and I'm like, they're gonna take my Nibiru. I don't know why they took my Nibiru. I guess they wanted to get rid of the body on the field, I suppose. So, there. And then they're gonna link this off into SP and banish my Poplar. So all fair, you know, not... Maybe taking a card from my hand might have done them better, because this hand is... Honestly, it's pretty gas if I don't have to actually deal with a Maxi. But yeah, then they're gonna banish the turn, send another Phalanx, and then activate Wake Up. So, I just want to point out, their hand was Maxi, Wakaushi, Trudea, Trudea Stand Up. Not a bad hand, not a bad hand. So now they're going to get this set up. So now they have a SP, and there's a setup for level 12 things. I'm gonna normal summon Hydra, and on the Hydra effect, they're just gonna banish it immediately because, you know, in their mind, I don't have any Rescue monsters in grave, so, you know, doing this might cut me off of my engine. And now they're gonna trigger this stuff, which it's kind of odd because now they're kind of playing into Infirm a little bit because my field is clear. But yeah, wave stand up is gonna let them go into Crimson Dragon, into Blazar. Yeah, into Blazar. So yeah, if I had an Infirm, I hadn't out this anyway. I don't have an Infirm, but I do have a Diabellstar, Black Witch, and I activate it, and they negate the summon. I don't know why they negated the summon. Okay, so yeah, this was a clear mistake by them. They probably think I have 2 cards in hand, and I committed my normal summon already. What are they gonna do, right? But this Diabellstar was not gonna do shit because I already added Original Symbol Spoils to my hand last turn. I didn't use it, so they should have picked up on that. I know I forgot about Original Symbol Spoils too, so you know, it is what it is, and they probably wanted to be like, even if he has Original Symbol Spoils, he's not going to have a way to get a body, right, to be able to activate it, right? Well, no, I drew the best card in my deck, which is Preventer. So Preventer's going to banish Turbulence, and then OSS get another Hydron out, and then Preventer's going to summon back the Turbulence, and I'm going to set 4 now. I know they have no more interruptions, so this is actually just, this is game. So now I'm going to use Rescue because Hydron's on the field to summon back the Preventer. Preventer will set Auxilla. That doesn't really matter. I'm going to link this off into Relinquished Anima. Anima steal the token, and then link off Preventer plus the token into Anima into Charmer. Summon back the Trudea. This is enough bodies for Peruvian Princess. Peruvian Princess brings something back, and we have Zealantis OTK. So you go into Raging Phoenix. We have Raging Phoenix plus 1 body. So you go to Zealantis. Zealantis, pop, banish everything. Get that back in face down defense. Summon back Zealantis. Summon back Turbulence. Peruvian Princess, pop Turbulence. Co-link to the Zealantis. Summon back Raging Phoenix. Man, I love Zealantis. I love how you can just randomly, off of 2 monsters, just lose the game because of Zealantis Peruvian Princess. I just love that this exists in the game. They're going to enter battle phase, they're going to Phalanx, bring back the Auxilla. Does not matter because World Seed Dragon Zealantis has a quick effect of the non-targeting pop monster, so as soon as they summon back the Auxilla, it just gets popped anyways. Oh yeah, if our opponent used their interruptions a bit better, they might have survived. Although, we were probably in a good position anyways because that hand was like... I mean, Diabellstar Preventer OSS with a Turbulence engraved that you send for the Diabellstar. I mean, that's like literally infinite gas. That's like anything that you can do any combo you want in the game with like a hand like that, as long as you don't get maxi. So we got some misplays that keep piling up. So with this hand, right, rescue a Hydrant plus Alert. Since you hard duty Alert, that means Hydrant is combo now because now you can add Preventer and Turbulence at the same time, and then Special Summon Preventer, and this is a misplay, so I'm gonna make Linkuriboh. There was no need to make Linkuriboh. There's no need to. Because I made Linkuriboh, this makes, let's count the summons. So that's the 3rd summon, SP is the 4th summon, and then Turbulence becomes the 5th summon. So I just played into Nibiru for no reason. I could have made, I could have summoned Turbulence with SP on the board on 4 summons with this hand. So there's no need to risk that. Okay, I literally just lost to Nibiru for absolutely no gain whatsoever. Like I don't care about the Linkuriboh engrave. This card is not gonna come in this duel. Spoilers. So yeah, whoopsie. And yeah, that was the whole perk of the line in the first place, was that you can do this without playing into Nibiru and still set up this board. But you know what? I guess never punished, right? Now you do set 4, so and I do open 2 spell traps. So you know this is the reason why a lot of people, if they're gonna cut cards, they're probably gonna cut Imperm, because you know, as you can see, you have too many spell and trap as non-engine. You can't really even set them all a lot of times in your first turn. But you know, I'm fine because I have this card called Maxi. So no matter how badly I play, if I resolve Maxi, and it does resolve, the game's effectively like 90% in my favor at this point, because now they're gonna have to play in this board under a Maxi, and if they don't have a board breaker, then well, we're gonna draw a lot of cards. So I also preemptively go emergency for what's it called? Preventer to summon back the Hydrant, so I have the Hydrant live, and then they're gonna go Poplar, which is a bit of a weird sequencing by our opponent, because they first revealed that they have Diabellstar, then they went for Poplar, which means that there's no point for me to negate either of them, because since they have 2, they're probably gonna get asked OSS anyway. Like I could burn both Contain and Imperm on them, but like at that point it feels not worth it. So they I don't know, they could have withheld information that I would have went for negating one of them and then just hit me with the other one when I wasn't expecting them. But now like I'm just not gonna negate either one of them. So I'm gonna add OSS anyways, and then they're gonna add Airlifter and normal, and yeah, go into Linkuriboh, and you know we're gonna keep drawing, which is why this game is no longer competitive. And here I also used SP to banish the Linkuriboh. This is probably a bit early to do so, but I did want to SP the Linkuriboh eventually, because Linkuriboh on the board represents an SP Little Knight that they can make that to banish like a card from my field, which I don't want. So I want to make them commit more bodies to the field, and it's not like SP really gains that much value in the matchup. Whatever, if I banish one of their Rescue monsters, they can just summon it back with Preventer anyways in this matchup. So I might as well banish like something that's can become a threat like very soon. And here, you know, the Power comes back from the Diabellstar, and they because they use Wanted and OSS, they don't have anything to set off Diabellstar in the first place. So that's another reason why I didn't want to negate both of them. But yeah, Airlifter comes out. I'm gonna try to contain it. This is a check for emergency, and they have emergency, so I'm just gonna go. I'm firing this off now because honestly, this is more like I'm you're under Maxi and you're gonna special summon even more, so like I feel fine just negating that and just getting more cards out of this. And once again, maxing, definitely helping the player going second here. Then I learn I'm gonna summon back the Preventer, and then here's where I messed up a little, because I tried to deny them the Hydrant search, but this entire time I actually forgot that they had the OSS in hand anyway, so they could actually just get the Hydrant anyways. Now they get both Hydrants out, and you know, I don't end up like extinguishing this Hydrant because I hard drew the Ash off the Maxi, you know, because we drew 6 fucking cards off Maxi, so we drew a hand trap, and yeah, that's now they can put that back, draw a card, summon Preventer, and then Preventer's gonna manage the Airlifter, but this Preventer's also gonna get extinguished. And they can, you know, set my Turbulence, doesn't matter. At this point, I've used all my onboard interruptions anyways. So now it's like it's like Turbulence or bust. And even if they have Turbulence, once again, none of that shit matters because I resolved Maxi. Man, I love this card, bro. This card makes such interesting game states, bro. Yeah. So, Rescue Ace Mirror in a nutshell. So while Rescue Ace isn't the best deck right now, it's still one of the better decks that you could be running, and it's still fine. It's still really, really decent. If you're a Rescue Ace enjoyer, or if you still own these cards, don't worry. That was a good investment. These cards will still get you there. And, you know, although it's not as good as Fire King, the existence of Fire King and other decks like Yubel has made Rescue Ace's worst matchups less common. You know, stuff like Labyrinth, which was a really bad matchup for Rescue Ace. Well, that deck is seen a dramatic decrease in play because of Labyrinth's horrid matchup versus Fire King and Yubel. So, yeah, you can actually thank those decks for you having an overall probably even better matchup spread than you did in previous formats. So, yeah. Wee woo, wee woo.